Hey, Ben, we're back in this room.
Back in this room.
Okay, I think I stare into your eyes more than my husband's. Look at yours too, Josh.
We have 3 recommendations.
Look at us in over here.
That for some reason.
Or the ITPA, because I need to join the Zoom meeting. So I can share the screen, we can all look together.
Okay, and then right on page
On page 14. Oh, now I remember. I remember now. It's coming back to me.
And then the other thing is.
Okay.
Maybe we should take a minute and just read through it to refresh our memory. But you know, of all, I remember now being refreshed. Of the times that we did this, I felt like this group with these 3 recommendations had it fleshed out the best. I mean, in terms of, you know.
I remember us spending a lot of time
we did,
wordsmithing.
exactly.
I think I was online for this one.
You were,
are
you
the
were.
one
You were.
writing.
Yeah.
I haven't received, I got it.
Yeah.
Do I have it? You sent me a blank email with no link inside of it called, here's the link.
But you might want to touch that link.
What are we waiting for right now?
I was gonna share screen
Share
to take
screen to
notes.
take notes.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna
Oh.
run and get water real quick.
I'm gonna go talk to him, because I think he thinks he sent it. Hey, Adam.
Yeah. Yeah, this one was, this, of all of them, this one is definitely the most succinct. That I recall. And it overlaps things we already said in the earlier.
Yeah.
It's totally big time. Yeah. I hate to be that person, but my money's on it's perfect the way it is.
I'm gonna second that.
Adam, we're done, man.
Hey,
Honestly.
nailed
Okay,
it.
I'm gonna go finish our sandwich right now.
But then I'll tell you, I will justify I will justify.
At the
my
workplace.
opinion. The reason I say that is because we did a really good, you know, the last time we wordsmithed these 3 paragraphs, you know, 1, 2, and 3. And then when we put the implementation the intentions down, which was really good, Tori. That was, it made everything make sense and it kind of tied everything together. And I think that it is broad enough to meet the expectation.
Sorry.
Oh, no, but
Just to clarify, because I'm hearing 2 things. Our next work group convening is February 26th and 27th.
Right.
Okay.
oh no, that's a different group.
Yeah,
That's the literacy
That's
design. I'm
literacy.
sorry, that's on the 28th. That's the design.
Commission meeting is 6:00.
That's what I thought, and we don't need.
So, and I was just saying that this is broad enough to leave the work in its proper, you know, context in terms of who's gonna have, you know, because we're making a suggestion, right? And I think that it does specify, I think it's very clear what we are suggesting, but we are not in the weeds of exactly the how. And I think that's really, really important. And so, like I said, I would hesitate to wordsmith this anymore.
No,
Because
I
think
did a
we
lot
would
last
get-
time.
Right, we did,
We did.
because I don't
The
want
word
it
dog
to
was
be,
wordsmith, so I'm.
yeah. I don't want it to be so specific that we're getting into the weeds of the part that is not our charge to do.
Right.
So that would just be my little 2 cents.
Josh, you were here in person. I remember staring into your eyes across the room too. Are you good with what's written?
Yeah, I was just reading it over too while I was waiting for you guys to get out. I don't have any other recommendations or input. It looks, I mean, as far as, especially as what I've seen, like with other groups and stuff like this looks really like a finished product. I think we did a really good job last time.
And Abby, to your point, I think you're just right. I think this is pretty good, that in accreditation programs will demonstrate, so like we actually are saying we aren't going to get in the weeds of telling you exactly how to do it. We're saying in accreditation programs.
That's
determine
correct.
what they're gonna do.
Yeah, and that's up to how they decide to revise the accreditation process, which is another one. Remember how that was also part
Right.
of,
That's another focus area.
so, because, yeah, we can't get into that.
Right,
That's not our charge.
okay. So just like up to-
Adam's gonna be like, yes, okay, what are you thinking, Ben?
Yeah, Ben's got something.
Well, my only thought is this, right? Like, so I'm looking at like slide 11 right now, which was the first one I think that we had. This is technical.
That's it, okay.
So I think this is technically what the law already state, or program standards already state, is that you embed the TPA within programs, right?
Okay,
Are we
well,
saying anything different is what I'm asking.
yes, we are. We are actually saying that this process or the, how this is done has not been really it hasn't really been specified. And so we put it into buckets that says, you need to make sure it's embedded in both the fieldwork and the coursework. And then we qualify that by talking about the feedback loop, which this really does not talk about.
Right.
It says implement feedback on their teaching and be assessed on their implementation of feedback. But the feedback loop, it seems that, this talks about, considering the contextual factors and the program methodologies as well. But then also
The only
the
change,
modalities too.
the only change I might even recommend, if I'm just thinking about because right now they say embed the TPA, right? But there's also this interesting feedback conundrum where some programs don't necessarily provide feedback to folks in a way. So I'm just wondering, do we need to, where they'll take their own templates. This is probably the easier example. How many programs created their own lesson plan template, modeled off after the TPA? I know my program did. Right.
Yeah.
Should this state, even more concretely, they're doing the actual TPA templates as part of their coursework?
I would hesitate to say that because there is some language to say that you shouldn't be doing that. So-
Right, so then you're not embedding the
So-
TPA, is what I would argue.
Right, so, but what I would
It's
say,
duplicative.
right, and so I think that particular type of clarification is gonna have to be something that's in the standards and in the design instructions,
which
that's
is-
what I'm saying.
Aren't we changing standards with some of
Well,
these recommendations?
We're saying, please look at those standards and consider change.
Because, that's why, the only reason I spoke up on this is I know right now it says embed the TPA, that's our charge.
But see,
But I know the way programs embed it is not by embedding, this from experience, right? You don't do the actual TPA templates in classes,
but
so it's not embedded.
But see, we're saying the implementation of this recommendation is intended to ensure that programs do it in ways that are formative for candidates. Because right now we're saying it's not exactly in ways that are formative.
No, it's
So-
formative as poop. I give a lot of feedback.
We're also-
But no, I'm saying overall though, you might be doing that and some other programs might be doing that. But I think what these suggestions are intended to do, these recommendations are intended to make it more comprehensive that all, to put some teeth behind a system to ensure that all programs are doing it. Because right now, it's a wild, wild west.
I'll just add that it actually isn't in program standard 5 to embed it. It doesn't use that word. It talks about, there are activities that you can, give for candidates. So it talks about required forms of support, which are basically in the handbook, they're very
Right.
limited.
Right.
But I think that when we say embedded in both, as part of embedding, candidates will receive and implement feedback on their teaching
Mhm.
and be assessed. So that to me is defining the embedding without, I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to tell a program you have to create a lesson planning template.
No, I don't want them to.
Yeah.
I literally want, and my vision, at least when I read this, is I want candidates who actually do the TPA in the program instead of doing a lesson plan template that's not the TPA,
Uh-huh.
receiving feedback on that. Okay, now you guys do the TPA. Good luck, right?
Can we-
On their own.
Yeah, can we add it right there where it says, okay, so the
I
first
don't know if everyone agrees.
yeah, RDI TPA workbook recommends that TPA is embedded in both fieldwork and coursework using TPA language or using
TPA templates.
templates or something like
But
that?
I think some programs might be against, that's why
Well,
I.
that's what I'm about to say, is that there are some, now I think this is from Pearson. I'm not sure if this is from, the
Or that
testing service
aligns
or,
with TPA?
but there's language to talk, because this is the confusion also. In terms of, these people who have, and I say these people, I apologize because I'm not necessarily one way or the other, but the whole teach to the test thing. Because for me, if it's gonna be formative, I'm kind of in line with you, Ben, where you are actually using the same kinds of information, the same types of templates, because this is supposed to be formative. I'm supposed to be doing this as a form of practice. So, but I'm just saying that I think, yeah.
Is there any issue, can I ask our CTC representative, would there be an issue with asking, other than program pushback from, I don't want to teach towards the test? Is there an issue from outside of that, having candidates actually do the TPA within coursework and fieldwork without providing answers to them?
No, there's nothing that says you can't make an assignment in a class.
Right, and I agree with Kathy, I've been told, like when I first started, it was the same thing that we also talked about yesterday with feedback. When I first started, it wasn't from CTC. I was told though, oh yeah, no, we can't use those templates in class. So right now, we're breaking and changing things, right? But that's where.
I never was told that.
I'm trying to remember where the language came from. It had to have come from one of the handbooks, because if I remember correctly, I don't know to what extent that's been changed. And it also varies, because the Ed TPA is a little bit more specific and harsh than the Cal TPA is on
Maybe
that.
that's,
And I think that might be the rub.
Okay.
yeah,
So with
see,
the options to
Because the Cal
use
TPA, I don't recall that language, at
TPA
least from
templates, there we
my
go.
design work.
How about
I
this,
don't recall
Kathy?
that.
We're saying coursework with the option to use TPA templates.
So now it gives programs choice.
Permission, it gives
Yeah.
them permission.
Right.
Because again, what I will say, and I think that will probably be an important clarification, because like I was just telling her, is that I see that in the Ed TPA language, I don't see that in the Cal TPA language,
yeah, when I was teaching TPAs,
you know,
they did the TPA.
yeah,
What is the point of having them do a TPA alike and then having to do a TPA? on
that's
your
what I
own?
say.
Because it's
I agree.
not designed.
Right.
It's like you get a car and you're driving backwards all the time because you didn't know it was designed to drive forwards.
Right.
It's not designed to be done in isolation. It's designed to be
Exactly.
done with faculty, with other candidates, with your cooperating teacher.
I think that's really a good thing to put in there, Linda, because again, not only does it give the program's permission, but it
Right.
also is gonna have the commission make sure that the Ed TPA and any other one, or TPA or whatever, is also on board with that and aligned with that, because again, I remember being the Ed TPA coordinator like way back when, and it was definitely not
You're
the
like the
thing.
top.
Yeah, exactly. And then, and my Ed TPA coordinator now, she says the same kind of thing. And then when I was on the design team for the Cal TPA, that is not there.
Mhm.
We've been using.
Templates for, yeah.
And that's the way I see it done. I literally, when I started this role, because I wasn't in credentialing, I was a director of like curriculum instruction for school district, right? So I walked in and I was just told, oh yeah, you can't. And I don't know where the information came from. It's just how I was trained. And then I listened to presentations from various programs, best practice presentations. I was like, they do.
Yeah.
So that's when I started changing my program to catch up with like the current.
I wonder actually then if we want to add one recommendation to this, that we're recommending that either CTC or model sponsors or someone pulls together exemplars of programs that are doing good.
I love that.
You know, I mean, I don't.
Can't hurt. That could be number, well,
It's one
but
of the
that could be
things-
number 4 down at the bottom, or implementation is recommended too.
Because I think that what I'm hearing is that there's a lot of misinformation. Oh, I don't think we should get rid of.
I didn't, I
Oh, okay.
duplicated,
Oh, got it.
I
Okay.
duplicated, sorry.
Sorry. I'm hearing that there's a lot of misinformation, and I've heard this throughout all of our meetings
Right.
about like what constitutes acceptable support.
Right.
And so I think if we can make a recommendation to have more clarity
Right.
about what would be.
Because I think, to your point, we were just having the conversation yesterday where 3 different programs in 3 different areas like Central Valley, Northern and Southern California all thought one thing about feedback.
Mhm.
that may not be like what the actual messaging is. So I think there is some of that happens.
Yeah.
There definitely is, because I can just say, just from a programmatic standpoint, like we have faculty members that are just like, well, we shouldn't be teaching to the test, or whatever that mentality is, because, you know, for whatever reason, they're wired into the ed TPA, which was kind of giving that information. But again, you know, that's one of the reasons that we're switching from ed TPA to Cal TPA. Number one, because of the, you know, flexibility in terms of actually being formative. And then, of course, you know, the other part of being formative is to provide out multiple opportunities, which the ed TPA does not do. It's a one-shot deal at the end of the program.
Right.
And that's it. Whereas the Cal TPA, you know, we're embedding it into 2 different semesters of our student teaching. So now that we can say, hey, here's where you start off, and get some feedback. And so now you know when you get to the second cycle, and then there's the opportunity for you to retake either of the cycles if you need to. And I have to redo the whole doggone thing.
The CTC or model sponsors collect exemplary practices.
I like that.
From preparation programs. Exemplary practices for embedding the TPA.
I got to present on that. The CTC model sponsored Cal TPA, they do a digging deeper session. They do them typically quarterly. And so I actually, as a model sponsor, got to present on some of this for the education specialist Cal TPA. And then this year we did a couple of digging deeper sessions that had to do with embedding the TPA and where it lives in accreditation.
Yeah.
So making those more widely
Yes.
available.
Yeah.
That was
Definitely.
And I mean, that kind of thing could go out in like the PSD.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I was gonna
Exactly.
say is like, sometimes I've been to a couple digging deeper sessions,
Uh-huh.
and sometimes, you know, and I don't mean this with me, they can feel a little repetitive if you've seen one just last year and then the next. So I don't go to necessarily every single digging deeper session.
If
That's
my name's on it, we should go.
I agree. But I just mean that so like a PSA would also be a good vehicle because I read it every week, or at least the new items every
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
It's
So
programs get an email every Friday.
Um,
Wait, that's probably like 10 to 15
it's a
pages
really
long.
fun Friday afternoon to-do list.
Yeah.
Basically.
I just know I made it through another week when I get it.
Teacher newsletter. Do you guys get emails from your principals or anything like a teacher newsletter once a week?
Oh,
It's ours from
we
CTC.
get some like, yeah, we do get some. Not for principals, but deans.
So I would say, this recommendation is necessary before the intended to, so we have a line
Yeah.
after the first line.
Okay, I was just looking back over here it is.
This recommendation is necessary. Oh, wait,
We need that too.
I think we do, but maybe we make a slide at the end of all of our slides that have those, because
We had it that way, didn't we, last time?
that's how it is.
That's how it is
Oh,
here.
okay.
Yeah,
And I like this. I think
Oh,
this is
okay.
good.
So is this that list?
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this needs to be a difference. Okay, we just put it on the same slide as a recommendation.
Or
We
if you
had
were,
our recommendation, so the way it's, I don't know how it's structured on the slides, but it looks like it's structured on the slides that each recommendation includes this whole implementation
Right.
theory and practice. So I'm saying maybe we write all of our recommendations and then have our last.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Like that, right?
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
recommendations
Yeah.
are intended. Implementation is intended, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'm gonna do that. Nope. Hi, Josh. How you doing, man?
You're muted, Josh.
I'm good. Just listening. Everything sounds good. I was with you guys on the other slide too, number 11, where I was concerned about you just kind of stopped at classwork, and then you guys added the whole thing about with the option to do these things, because I could already hear in my mind like some of the critiques we would have when we bring this back to whole group of, you know, well, what does this mean and how is this going to pan out for this group and this particular program. So I appreciate that you guys are doing well. Thanks.
Yeah, I'd also say, this recommendation is necessary to ensure the programs understand that they have the ability to support candidates in multiple ways through embedding the assessment, right? Or like, or this recommendation is necessary to ensure that programs understand the multiple ways in which they can support candidates through embedding the assessment.
Yep,
Yeah, through embedding the
through,
assessment. Yeah.
sorry.
No, I think I probably just changed that. Yeah, and to maybe like, I don't know if we want to, I don't, that's probably the other.
Really quickly, I think we're pretty much done, but let's 2 and 3 just very fast.
Okay.
I love this one.
Can we go back to number 1, actually?
Yep, let's go back to number 1.
I wasn't clear on what we added. With the option to use the TPA tool.
We added this.
Yeah.
This is the part
Yeah.
that was added.
That's always, like, I can see.
To me, that's a best practice, like.
Yeah, I could see a question from the group being like, how's that any different than what's already there? Because
I know,
it's not,
Right.
but we can just say that
It's
there
an
are some
emphasis,
programs.
right?
Huh?
It's an emphasis.
Yeah, or that there were some programs that didn't know this was available.
well, and that's why I said when we first started,
Yeah.
it's like, isn't this what we're already able to do?
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think the response was embedding is actually not listed in program standard 5. So do we need to call something like that? Like,
It is necessary to enable programs, or it's necessary because, do we want to add it? It's,
we like
the
right
record is
here.
necessary.
Oh, that's not standard. Like this. And then we'll have to like fix grammar, but.
But recommends that program standard 5 includes
Mhm.
embedding the TPA in both fieldwork and coursework.
I like that either.
And I think the difference too that we have is that we say fieldwork and coursework.
That is a
whereas
key
I don't-
difference.
Yeah,
Because a lot of places it lives in coursework and not necessarily.
or vice versa,
Right.
right? So, yeah,
Yeah,
there
we
might
have
not
that.
be coursework support in candidates and just expected to complete as part of their fieldwork.
How do you feel about this, Josh?
Yeah, I like it because I'm just trying to think of it in terms of when I only teach methods when I'm teaching in a credential course. I only teach a methods course, so I don't go beyond that. But I'm just trying to think of if I'm reading this as a professor in a methods course, then I understand that I can use the TPA more so as a support for my students. So it's not like it's something completely, because right now it's like, how do they teach in a classroom? But then I feel sometimes I'm trying to work in, because everything's aligned by TPEs, right? But at the same time, I'm trying to figure out, well, the next step, because once they're done with me, they're going to student teaching, right? So how can I then better kind of springboard them into their teaching? And this, for me to read this, things like, oh, okay, I do have all these other options available to me. Whether my program tells me or not, I know then as an instructor that I have this ability to do this.
I'll let you know, our methods course is where we're doing lesson plan templates.
Mm.
So that we know to film it, then the coaches go and film it with them, and now they get right, like, so the whole thing becomes embedded.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to throw a wrench.
Please do.
I don't think it's a big wrench, but I'm wondering if there's any part of this recommendation where we want programs to respond to how they're embedding in accreditation. Or if there's any sort of, like if we want to ask, if we're saying that program standard 5 should include embedding the TPA in both field work and coursework, and that programs explicitly talk about that in accreditation, like.
So that's where we overlap with the work group that writes the.
I know.
That's where it overlaps.
The other focus area.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think we kind of stay within this pocket
Yeah.
because I do think that when these recommendations are made, they're gonna see
Yeah.
that consistency. They're gonna
Yeah.
see that overlap and they're gonna be like, okay.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
So you're saying accreditation, just to make sure I'm understanding, accreditation We're probably talking about that next month, because that is one of the
We
big
talked
focus
about it.
We already
areas.
talked about,
Yeah, but I meant like this, doing this
Yeah, we're gonna
process.
we're gonna get to that too.
And so we need to make sure it's embedded
Yeah.
in the accreditation presentation.
And that's what, and it, yeah,
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Cool. Um. UDL.
Yeah. I can see a question being asked, what do we mean by across multiple settings? So we say collect multiple points of evidence for their teaching across multiple settings.
I thought we were talking, I'm not sure. I thought this was about placement, like field placement. I'm not positive.
I'm not positive either, which makes me.
We could just
Oh, maybe we
delete
should get
it
rid of it.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, which means, wait, hold on. Yes.
And yeah, here too, you're right.
So what were we trying to capture with that?
Yeah, I think it was what Ben was saying earlier, if I remember right, was we were trying to figure out like different avenues that teachers might have of collecting this
Mhm.
and recommending that those different avenues are in writing, I guess.
We need to define multiple settings, because that's gonna be a question.
Well, and that's to your point, it could be small group, whole class. It could be placement at a school, like at a school that's more rural versus city, or grade level placement, or, right, like there's so many different ways that that can go.
Multiple settings.
Like, are we saying across the variety of potential fieldwork placements that they have? Is that what we're saying, basically?
Josh was nodding.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to think that our conversations last time, I think, were around a variety of field work placements.
Mhm.
We put in parentheses, like what we're referring to, because if that's gonna be a question, we might as well just answer it here. Across a variety of field work placements. I don't know,
I don't even know if we need that
that's
because
what I'm saying. I'm not so sure we do.
okay.
that's part of the TPA, like
Right.
it.
Yeah, it's
It
sort of
talks
saying,
about like you can teach a small group
Yeah.
of 4 students,
Right.
or and specialists, they can teach one-on-one. There's.
And again, that part gets into the design of the assessment portion, you know, the
Yeah.
actual nitty gritties of that. And I think, again, you know, when we make these suggestions and the commission sees these, it's gonna be in conjunction with, you know, as the feedback comes from the pilot and the implementation, again, I see another work group in the future, but
More, equitable.
but all this stuff is going to actually flesh out.
We take out teaching across multiple.
It's all gonna come, because again, it all overlaps.
Yeah.
And we're lucky, because I've worked on work groups where, you know, the standards had already been set and we couldn't make any changes, and yet we were trying to fix them,
Mhm.
certain gaps, and that was almost impossible.
Mhm.
This one, at least it's in
we're pretty much,
process.
yeah, we'll be ready 100% on time. Okay. Or before.
Before we.
Yeah, we're lucky that way.
That's true. Josh, are you good with this?
Yeah, I'm good. We have, and I think we're going to do it on time. We got 6 minutes, so we should probably move on to
This is the last.
Okay. I'm good with this one, because I know we had a lot of discussion last time with this one.
Yeah, this one is good.
Yeah, so I'm not touching that one.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna veto whatever you have to say.
Okay. I'm
Okay.
not saying anything, so.
Yeah, I'm on board 100% with this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
The last focus area too, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's-
Exactly.
And then there's the one we just added for
Yeah.
one last read, and then we're ready. Unless if we want to add a board read.
I don't think so, because you put that part about the, you added a fourth recommendation, so to me that,
I just meant bullet point here, which this is not a recommendation, so I'm gonna change this to like the I'm gonna make this the title here
implementation of this recommendation is
Yeah.
intended to.
and then
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, there you go.
So unless if we want to add something on this slide, now that we added a recommendation, I don't know if we
So,
do or
wait,
not.
okay, I guess where am I? So that's
This is the new one.
okay, so that's number 4. Now, when you did number 4, did you put it like, I guess, in relationship to the rest of this? Did you put number 4, like say here,
Yes.
and then the
Yep.
implementation things
As a
before
new
4
slide.
as in down here?
Yep.
Okay,
So it's 1, 2, 3, 4.
and then.
New slide where we don't say it's a recommendation, it's just.
No, implementation.
Yeah.
Oh, and you left the same 3 bullets.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
But do we need to add a bullet?
Yeah,
based on
go
this?
back to
I
this one.
think we might, if the 4th one,
Ensure that programs understand that, we actually have it under.
We do.
Underneath
This
the first one?
recommendation is
Yeah.
intended to.
I think we're right. yeah.
For the 4th recommendation, this recommendation, we say like this.
Sure, programs embed the
necessary.
assessment.
I think it's fine.
Yeah,
It's
I
okay.
think we're good.
I think it's
Yeah,
fine.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
way to go.
Good job, group.
18.
Good job.
Now what?
Yeah, I think the 4th recommendation gets to all the other reasons.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
intentions,
I think so.
especially like equitable opportunities, like that would fit with that. I mean, all of them. Looking at fire crazy business.
Yeah, I keep getting emails and texts about friends who've lost their homes.
Oh, no.
And I'm just like,
Are you
My
okay?
sister's in.
Yeah, we're
renovations like
fine.
that.
I'm fine, we're in Gardena, but a lot of people that work at USC, there's a lot of old money at USC.
Mhm.
And a lot of those women, that, on these like scholarship committees and stuff, and people I work with, they live in the Pacific Palisades and they live in Altadena. And a lot of them have lost their homes. And it's just sad because, I mean,
It's
these
so
ladies
sad.
are in their 70s.
Right.
They're widows, most of them.
Mhm.
That old money, it's not being replaced, really.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, those houses, if all their,
One insurance companies. have been
Oh, they're
in
gonna-
California
yeah,
for
we're so
long
rich now.
now.
it was bad. Like I started with all this new fiasco with my house, I started looking into buying one. And I started looking at with the insurance issue. And now, before it was kind of in the outlying areas, but now that this has happened in the city, those insurance companies are going to just use that to, we're all gonna be hosed. You're not gonna be able to get insurance.
It's the California Insurance Commission.
Exactly.
Like the
Exactly.
State Department is not allowed to write policies.
Right.
in
Exactly.
California, new policies, because they don't have
That's
enough
right.
money to cover them.
Right.
Like, that's- It's crazy. My parents actually lost their home in a wildfire about 2 years ago.
Oh my God.
They're in their 70s.
See?
They'll just.
It's like you're on a fixed income, you can't absorb that extra $1,000 to $1,500 a month for insurance. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And you can't afford to sell the house
Well,
because you can't.
the property, there's not a house
Exactly,
that can
that's-
afford it.
Well, that part,
Yeah.
the property,
That'd
but,
be a huge deficit.
but
Like, you
even
could-
if you have like your house, like let's say you still have the house, but they raise the insurance rates in your area. You can't sell the house because it can't be sold with, because the companies are saying, nope,
You
not
can get a
insured. it.
mortgage. Like we bought a house about a year
That part.
ago and getting our mortgage was just.
We're ready whenever you can.
You're first done, so you have until 1:30.
Okay.
Little notice time.
But it's just, I can't imagine. And like I said, it's like, if you work in California, you make good money, you have great credit. And I'm like,
And you're gonna live in a shack.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not, this is crazy. This is nuts. I'm not even poor, you know what I mean? I'm like, I have means.
Josh, are you safe?
Yeah, we are. We were okay. BUSD closed the whole week, so we're out. But I was feeling okay until last night when the Sunset Fire broke out, and then we were like, okay, because that is literally just over the hill from where we are. But this morning we woke up and they said that was fully contained. So fingers crossed that no other things pop up. Yeah, but we're okay. Thank you.
causing all these fires to the winds?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like hurricane force winds that are pushing embers from one to the next.
But my thing is that what started the fire in the first place? I mean, you know, and I'm just curious because it just seems kind of nuts. It just seems nuts.
It could be a balloon blowing into a mylar.
The power line, whatever.
You know, like,
Right.
there's so many
Somebody could have
possible-
been clearing brush with a saw or something. We're all.
Or someone smoked them through.
Someone
their
cigarette out the window.
Homeless encampment.
Yeah, that part.
That's what started.
We've had a few of those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what started it was.
My sister's upset, so when she works for Linwood Unified, they're using their air purifiers, the same ones they had during the pandemic. That the filter hasn't been changed.
Oh.
So it's like,
Oh,
she's like, why are
Yeah.
we doing this?
Ew,
She's
that's
trying
not
to
good.
tell somebody and no one's listening to her. And she's like, we're back with the mask over here.
Yeah, that part.
That's miserable teaching.